in the few years that you've been away, there have been some excellent fights. We have the Wilder and Fury trilogy was excellent, obviously. We just saw what Terrence Crawford did to Errol Spence. Is there a fight over the past few years that you saw that you said, wow, I kind of wish I was on the call for that? Because I'll never forget. I was at Pacquiao Marquez and I watched it several times when I got home, and listening to Roy tell you he's not getting up, Jim, is one of the most famous lines that we've heard. But is there one of those fights of the past 4 years that you said to yourself, wow, that would have been a fun one to call?
So I'm going to give you the long version of that answer because it's what honors my heritage and my memory. I first met Emanuel Steward in the 1980s when I was calling fights on ABC Sports. I was just getting started calling fights, had been installed in the role by a new division chief who thought that by assigning me to boxing, he could get rid of me. Never dreamed that I would bond with the sport or the sport would bond with me. And I went to Detroit to cover a light heavyweight championship fight between Tommy Hearns and Dennis Andreas. It was Hearns' historic effort to move up and become the first former welterweight champion to win the light heavyweight championship. And when I got to the Detroit airport that night, I discovered that Emanuel Steward had arrived in baggage claim, had shooed away the sedan driver who had been sent there to pick me up, and instantly said to me when I walked into baggage claim, I'm here to pick you up. I'm taking you to your hotel. We had not met. And Emanuel became my dearest and closest male friend ever in adult life. Max is like a brother. Emanuel even more so, because generationally we were the same. And I miss him emotionally to this day. So he took me to the hotel that night and we began a great friendship. Fast forward many years to about 8-10 years ago, when I was still calling fights for HBO, we were having dinner one night at House of Blues in the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. And I looked across the table and I said, Emanuel, I've heard that you are working with Tyson Fury. Why in the world would you be interested in Tyson Fury? He said, Jimbo, not only have I working with him, but I have brought him to Kronk in Detroit. And I'm working very directly with him. And I am tremendously excited about what Tyson is going to become. And I said, how can you say that? He looks to me like a big, clumsy oaf with no particular skill set who's going to labor very hard to try to find one. And Emanuel put down his fork and he looked across the table. He said, Jimbo, he's going to be the heavyweight champion of the world, and there's absolutely no question about it. And he's going to be the heavyweight champion of the world because he's unique. He is 6 feet 9 inches tall. His arms are longer than that profile would suggest. He is by nature and constitution a backup counterpuncher. His every first instinct in the ring is to protect himself, and he is skilled, particularly hand skilled, in his abilities on defense. Once we figure out how to teach him to go forward when appropriate and put his weight behind his shots, he will become a colossal power puncher. And at that point, he will not only be heavyweight champion, he'll be an unbeaten and unbeatable heavyweight champion. That's what Emanuel said to me. Now look at what Fury is. Wow. So the second Fury-Wilder fight was the night that I was looking at the screen and thinking, wow, I wish I could be the person to tell this story, because I'd love to tell it within context of what Emanuel told me. And within that fight, you could see exactly what Emanuel had seen that I would never have realized back at the time. How many times in the Fury-Wilder second fight would you see Tyson launch a punch, Wilder move his head, or in some other way shift the target, and Fury alter the arc of the punch and land on the button? That kind of hand-to-eye skill is not usual, okay? There are very few people ever. So this person, who I thought was a lumbering oaf, is actually one of the most skilled heavyweight champions of all time. And given his height and that power, and again, his continuing instinct toward being first and foremost a defender and a backup counterpuncher, who would you pick to beat him? I'm not sure. I mean, one of the discussions I've had with other boxing experts is, who would you pick in history to beat him? You know, and the logical answers are, okay, Ali, Lennox Lewis, These guys are big enough to give him trouble. Yeah. But wouldn't his skills to a certain degree nullify what they do? He's a really difficult equation. So I would love to be ringside to observe all that and tell that story.